What's happening, peeps? We back again with another one. I appreciate y'all tuning in today's episode. I got some content I want to deliver to you all that I hope you'll find some value in. And let's get the housekeeping items out the way. Like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Tell a friend to tell a friend. I appreciate all the feedback I've been getting. Keep it coming. Let me know what you want to hear more of, because I want to deliver more of what you want to hear as well. And so today's topic, what I want to talk about, is micromanagers. I've never met a manager that's ever proclaimed themselves to be a micromanager. I'm not saying that there isn't a manager out there that's actually proclaimed that, but I've never met one. And I think it's very rare for people to actually just say, hey, I'm a micromanager. And so what I'm going to just talk about is just kind of giving you kind of a definition that I have of what a micromanager is, and give you some signs that you might be dealing with a micromanager. And then I got a couple tips, I think, that will help you deal with the micromanager as well. And so let's get right into it. So a definition I kind of came with here is a micromanager is a boss or manager who excessively supervises employees, right? To the point where it is annoying, right? It is more of a damaging to your ability to actually complete tasks efficiently, because they're actually bogging down your bandwidth of work as well, because of their actions or their behaviors there. And so I've got some signs here I want to talk about of what a micromanager is. And so let's get right into it. The first one I have here is excessive oversight. If they're constantly checking in on your progress, frequently requiring updates for you to provide to them, that's a sign, because that is essentially some type of distrust, some need to control things, and it's going to be a bothersome to you, right? You know, you are you should be capable of doing your job, right? If you're, just getting started, you may have to check with them periodically just to make sure you're doing things to their expectations. But if you're in your role and you've been there for a while, but they're still constantly checking on progress, asking you about things, not allowing you to be able to work through the process of actually completing the task. They're asking you every single step of the way. What's going on? What are you doing? Where are you at? How's this going? Frequently, then it is one of those signs that you want to be on the lookout for that says, hey, I might be dealing with a micromanager there as well. The next one I want to talk about is lack of delegation, right? So if they have a tendency to not assign important tasks to you, it definitely could be a red flag, if you will, for a potential micromanager. Because if you think about it, right, as a manager, right, you're kind of over this team of employees or individuals there, and they were hired to be able to do a job, right? So they've been hired because you, as the manager who hired them, or whoever hired them, believes that they have the skill set, the ability, the knowledge to be able to complete a job or a task at a high level, or to the expectations of the organization there. And what you'll see is micromanagers tend to want to control everything on those big tasks because they don't have any trust. It's not anything that you're doing. It's just how they're potentially wired for in this particular point in time there as well. But they want to take all the big tasks on, even things that really should be designated for their actual team. You continually see them take on the responsibility. It's great if a manager wants to kind of step in, get in the trenches with you all and kind of help out. But it shouldn't necessarily be a reoccurring thing, because their role is really just to make sure the machine itself is functioning and working properly, to be able to achieve the goal for the team as well. So just be on the lookout for that potential situation or sign as a potential micromanager. And then the other side to that is I have control over small decisions, right? If you have a manager who kind of consistently insists on, making even the minor decisions, that could be easily handled, that aren't even that big of a decision to be made, but they feel like they need to always have the final say so, because there's a lack of trust, right? And again, it's not you as an employee. It's just kind of how typically these micromanagers are wired. They just have a distrust for people to be able to take on a responsibility in certain tasks. And so they feel like they need to have their opinion because they feel like only they can make the right decision. And they have a specific way that they want something done. And they don't think even if you have the ability to accomplish it a different way, they're just not interested in seeing you do it that way. And so, I talked about just kind of the important decisions they want to kind of take responsibility on, but also the small decisions they feel like they need to have the final say so opinion on how those things get done as well. And so, there are standard procedures and things that you should be able to, how you should do things in your job there. But certain things should be kind of, employees should be kind of be able to be independently and form their own decisions and be able to kind of accomplish something if they think there's a better way to go about it, as long as it actually doesn't, break any rules, regulations, things of that nature there as well. And they're able to actually accomplish whatever needs to be done successfully. So, that's kind of just my thoughts on it from that perspective there. But those micromanagers do have a tendency to control small decisions there. The next one I have is just frequent corrections, right? So if you're constantly doing a project, and you find your manager is excessively going in, reviewing your work, revising your work, making changes without consulting you, right? If they're not providing you feedback as to why they made the change, that's a sign. That's a control situation, right? Essentially, micromanagers, if you're kind of seeing what I'm talking about from a theme perspective, there's a control issue that they have. And so they feel that they can always do the work better than someone else. And the way that they do it is the right way to do it. And it's the only way to do it, right? And that's not always the case, right? It may be the right way for them, but you may have a way that works for you, but it still accomplishes the goal. But what you'll find is a micromanager will continue to go back, revisit your work, check your work, and then make changes without providing you any explanation on it as well, because they just essentially feel that their way is the right way and they shouldn't have to explain to you anything. So just wanted to at least put that out there and make sure you're kind of thinking about that with the right mindset as well. And then the last one I just have here is just kind of limited autonomy. So essentially, you really you're not really having a lot of ability to work independently of your manager and make decisions on your own, right? Everything has to be checked with them. You have to, get them to okay it, tell them, is that correct? And it's slowing your process down, right? And so you don't allow yourself to be I would say take any initiative or be ambitious to be able to try to improve a process or make something better. And essentially you're more like a machine, or just kind of, not utilizing your brain. You're just kind of more like a robot, just kind of going with the motion of the cycle as well. And so it really devalues you and what you can do from a work and skill set within the team of the organization there. And they just don't allow you to be able to kind of be innovative and create and think from a perspective of how can we improve this or how can we make this better. And they just feel that they need to be close to you or by you or near you on every single decision of every step of the way there as well. Again, you will have to check with them on certain things. You will have to be able to make sure that, they're approving or okay with certain situations or things there as well. But you should be able to do work independently of them. And they should be trusting that you're going to be able to accomplish the work without them looking over your shoulder there. And so those were the ones I had listed in terms of signs. I just want to give you maybe a couple of tips of things that I feel like could help you with the micromanager, right? Ultimately, the manager themselves has to kind of do some self-reflection and things of that nature there as well. Hopefully kind of assess if they are a micromanager and ways that they can improve on that. But here are two things that I think on both sides can help with that type of situation. One is establish a clear communication, right? Set up a regular update to your manager to let them know on the progress, right? And do it based on what was done, what you're working on, and where you're headed, and any problems that you may see. But create some type of regular cadence that you're okay with, right? Because you got to make sure that it's something that you can commit to being able to do consistently over an extended period of time. Communicate about plans, deadlines, certain accomplishments, to hopefully the more that you can communicate those things at a regular interval, the more likely that manager is to kind of take a step back a little bit further, because they know that you're keeping them in the loop on some of these items, these important items. And if they need to be brought into the forefront, they know when to be brought in from the forefront. Also, it will allow them to open up some bandwidth or some ability to work on some bigger projects, or to work on some new things that they are interested in or curious about, or collaborate with other parts, business units as well. But it's a win-win situation, because you're going to have a regular cadence of when you're communicating and what's going on, so they're aware of what's going on. But also it's going to take some of the workload off of their plate, which opens up some space for them to do something else with that work there as well. The second one I have here is just seek feedback and clarification, right? So ask for specific feedback on what they need to know, how you can meet their expectations. If they are making changes to something, clarify why they're making the change, so that you can better understand their priorities in the way that they kind of think about things, as from their attention, from their needs perspective there, or be able to meet their needs better in terms of what gives them comfort and understanding of what's going on with those projects. So, if they're not providing you feedback, ask for it, right? Ask for it. What do you think about this? I did it this way. What are your thoughts? Tell me how you feel, kind of like my process. Is there anything I can improve on? If they make a correction, be like, hey, I saw you adjusted this. Like, help me understand why you made that change. Just going forward, I don't have to make that a habit of doing that in the incorrect way. So keep that communication line open on both sides there. So that allows you all to have a better relationship, just in terms of conversations, dialogue, and get better onto the same page, and hopefully just build up a little bit more trust within you, from your manager to yourself, that they feel that you understand what their expectations are, what they're looking to see in your work, how they typically like to review work, the information that they need or they kind of like to have sent to them, to be aware of, and what they need to step in on, and take on responsibility for from their perspective, or help with any decisions that need to be made. So, ultimately, to wrap all that up, keep the communication lines open. I think if you do those 2 tips I had, I think it'll definitely improve. I've been able to use these 2 tips. I've had a micromanager, and using these 2 tips helped me kind of have a better relationship with my manager as well. And I think if you were to implement them, they will definitely help you as well. So let me know in the comments if I missed any signs or anything that you think typically you'll see in a micromanager. Let me know in the comments below. Let me know what you think about today's content. I appreciate you all tuning in for today's episode. As always, if I'm lit and you lit, then we lit. So stay lit. I'm out.